Looks like a few still not joined, so I'm just gonna wait a few more minutes just to make sure everyone is. Mm, mm. Oh, you guys were just hiding. Fine. Just share my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it.
Good.
Cool, cool. So I'm gonna cover two additional services for tonight. Um, those two services you guys probably already played with during the project. Um, if not, you guys will play with it this week and the next one for sure, because it's not possible to achieve all the requirements of the project without those two services mainly. The first one is KMS. KMS is basically a key management service that will generate and manage keys to encrypt things at rest, or in case that you have asynchronous keys in KMS, is just to encrypting one side and decrypting the other side. But normally for information at rest is not entranced like HTTPS or TLS in this case, right? So the main focus for KMS is encrypt things at rest. Yeah, basically KMS will interact, or not interact, but will work with a lot of services in AWS to encrypt data that is being stored in AWS, like S3, Dynamo, RDS. There's a long list. I think this is pretty much the list of services that interacts with, if not all services, most of the services, at least the ones that have some kind of storage or data flowing through that. So it's list. Um, and KMS has pretty much two types of key management, right? The first one, which is symmetric, pretty much the same key. In this case, is used for both encryption and decryption of data. And this is the type of key used for most services, um, like RDS, EBS, Dynamo, Kinesis, and so on and so forth. And there is also the asymmetric type of key. This is not available in all regions. We have that in Sydney, which is the region that we normally work with. But this kind of key is normally when you have two different uh, types of keys. Use it for encrypting or decrypting things. So you decrypt with one key and you decrypt with a different one, and or if you are signing something and verifying on the other side. So this is the asymmetric type key. Um, Let me just jump into the AWS console so you guys can see a few things about this KMS console. So one other thing about AWS is that by all stars, has a specific key, Lambda has another one, SSM another one, and so on and so forth. So if I start to work with Kinesis here, it's going to appear a different key, like AWS/Kinesis. And because all services, if not specified a different key, you use this one by default when you specify that you want encryption enable. But you can also create your own key here, right? So this one is a customer key, and you can also create more keys. I mean, you can create as many keys as you like. So basically, you define if it's a symmetric key or asymmetric key, and in advanced, you can use the key material that's from KMS, and the key material is imagined as a seed, which is the base information used to create the key itself. Normally, you won't be playing with that as a lot. Most of the case, you're gonna use KMS or a customer key store from Cloud HSM, or if you need to manage your own key or have your own key material, you can import a key material here. But most of the case, KMS is more than enough. And again, it's a self-managed. You don't need to worry about KMS to do everything that you need with the key material once you pick this one. I'll just go with the symmetric here for this example because it's the most common as well for the service that we're gonna use, and especially in the project that you guys gonna use. Next, you just create an alias here. So DevOps class. You can describe the purpose or wherever you want. You can add text. And then this is optional things that you can specify. So which rows IAM user and rows that will manage and be owner of the key. You don't need to specify that, but for security, you might want to have a row or some user that will be managing that key. Also, if it allows an admin to delete the key. Um, in this account, additional key permissions, so you can add who can use and make use of this key. I'll just use default here as well. You can also add additional or different accounts. So if you have an account for production, you have an account for, let's say, development, and for example, you have EC2 image that is being encrypted using the key from the development or from some other account that is used for baking the image. You can just give permission to the key for a different account so you can decrypt the data that was encrypted. Uh, it's useful, but you guys will need that at least for the project itself. But it's a good feature when you have an account that centralize some of the things in your whole entire AWS environment. And here, just the default key points that will be created for this one and pretty much finished. And now we have, once this completes, a new key that can be used for pretty much any services. So as you guys see, we have the default keys here for some of the services, but you can specify that once you're going to create, for example, if let's simulate here, EFS, EFS is fine. If again, you guys have EFS in the project, so this probably going to be something nice. I don't have anything created here. Next is that. Oh. Enable encryption at rest. So this will pretty much and that's the good thing about KMS. You don't need to have a lot of things or a lot of management over keys, and especially in the services as well. It's just pretty much a enable or disable feature for all of those services that are integrated with KMS. But here you can select the key. As I mentioned, this is the key that if I come back here, sorry, in the KMS, uh, you see that we don't have the EFS key here, AWS EFS. But if I select this one, it will just create a new key, or I can just pick the key that I just created now, and everything in this EFS will be encrypted using this key. So yeah, next, and create the file system. So that EFS is already encrypted. So every data that is being added there is encrypted at rest and protected. So if anyone have access to this EFS, um, you won't be able to do a lot of things without having access to the KMS key as well. So um, even that you have all the IAM protecting the service. So if you have, for example, DynamoDB and you have all the IAM permissions that only a specific role have access to that Dynamo, the KMS and the encryption just adds an additional layer of security on top of that, um, because pretty much you're gonna need to have the IAM permissions to use the KMS key and to execute a few of the IAM KMS actions like decrypt in order to be able to um, read the data that is being stored there. So it's just an additional level of security that is being put in place. Any questions so far with KMS and benefits and how to use it? I think it's pretty straightforward, but yeah, if anyone have any question, feel free to ask. Cool. If we come back to the KMS console here, so we have those two keys. You are able to have some actions here. You can see that you're not able to delete the key, and I'm pretty much root in this account. I have permissions to do everything. Anyone have any idea why it's not possible to delete this key?
Because it's being used for in the other AFS that you just set up.
No, that's not the reason. This one is not being used, and I also can delete. I mean, this one is in use, which I just used, but this test is not in use. So that's not the reason. Any other attempts?
So this still enable? You have to disable first.
I can disable. Let's disable this key, confirm. Nah, still can delete. Yeah, the reason for that is pretty much protection from AWS for you. And that's because if you delete a key and it's being used, you pretty much just lost the access to your data because you won't be able to decrypt. So in order to delete a key, you need to schedule for deletion. So if you schedule and you need to wait a specific number of days, you can specify here. I think the minimum is 7. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's 7. It's right here. So a minimum of 7. So if I schedule this deletion, I can still cancel this deletion, but this is it's like a cooling off period, just so you can make sure that you're not deleting a key that is still being used or has some data encrypted with the key, and just avoids you to lose access to the data, right? So I still can delete here. I can cancel the key deletion, and the delete option will just be enabled in 7 days from now, right? So just keep that in mind. If you try to delete something and it's failing, it's just um, a protection from AWS side, so you don't lose access to your data that is encrypted with that key. Um, some other thing about these keys, it's it's not something important, but it's or not that is important, but it's not very often used, or you might not notice that, but during the creation, you can specify the types of keys, uh, uh, the type of algorithm that will be used. Um, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this here, but let me just jump into here and I can show you. Because there are multiple types of algorithms, and that will pretty much come from the security partner that's working with you during any kind of project. And that's important, especially if you face things like that. So, yeah. So AWS provides a few types of algorithms. So these are the ones for asymmetric, but again, that's more for specific requirements from the application or the industry. But just keep in mind that you have options to provide some kind of specific algorithms for the key creation. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And just how to use, again, I show in the console. You guys gonna pretty much use that through Terraform. Just a small example of a EBS volume being created using a specific key encryption. If you set that is encrypted here and it's true and you don't provide the key, Terraform will just assume that the key is the default one for that specific service. So if you want to specify, you need to just have a key creation as a resource or a data input and provide the AWS key as the KMS key ID. Something that is confused here, even that it says KMS key ID, you don't specify the ID here, you specify the ARN. But yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. In terms of the management, again, you can delete something. A different action that you can have is the rotation of keys. This is more, again, from a security partner requirement. You may need to rotate your keys every year, every 2 years, every specific amount of time. For the AWS keys, this rotation is done every 3 years by default, and you can change that. You pretty much can't change anything in the AWS managed key. So if you just open here, it's pretty much locked. Just have the cryptographic configuration, the policy, and pretty much it. You can't even change that. It's by default is, and you stick to that. But yeah, if you come here in the test key, you have a lot more options like the policy, which you can change, the deletion, which I already showed you, and the key rotation. So you can enable the key rotation here to be done by AWS automatically every year, or you can just rotate the key by yourself. I think there is a cool off. It can be less than 3 months or 6 months. But yeah, I mean, if you want, you can take the ownership and rotate by yourself, or just set AWS to rotate automatically every year. Again, it's just an additional level of protection because if you lose or if someone else take ownership of the key, you can just rotate that, and yeah, pretty much the key that the person has, it's not valid anymore. It's like a certificates on web page that has a specific key validation or expiration. Is the same thing for these keys, so you just can improve the security for that. I think that's pretty much about just the main services that normally are used, and a few documentation about the key rotation, how to do it, the approach, and some KMS developer guide about how to work with KMS, advanced things. But I think I mean, it's a pretty simple service. There's not a lot to talk about besides those things. And that pretty much cover the entire need for 90% of the use case that you guys gonna have with KMS. Any questions around KMS? Any things that you guys did on the project that is not working well, or you guys didn't enable encryption yet? Otherwise, I'll just jump to the SSM, which is even simpler. Cool. Let me just close a few of those tabs here. This one goes. Okay, my SSM. Well, about SSM, Again, I think you guys already played with SSM, especially with the container part. Let me just jump here into the SSM. So SSM is the AWS System Manager. It's pretty much an entire AWS ecosystem inside AWS because it has a lot of services and it does a lot of things. You can pretty much manage patching of EC2 instance. You can have your you can connect to your EC2 instances through SSH, through here, to the SSM agents. You can run commands from here in your EC2 instances. But this class is mainly focused, as you guys did in your project, in the parameter store. And parameter store is pretty much it's a simple thing, but very useful. It's pretty much a config and state management that you can use as inside your application. Basically, is a mini service inside the SSM, right? So it's mainly used for store key value strings or sets of strings to be retrieved by your application, and you can use that through EC2, Lambda, ECS containers, and task definitions. It's normally integrated with KMS because in some cases you store some values that are like passwords or usernames, so things that are sensitive, and you don't want everyone to have access to that. So you just encrypt your data with KMS and store that in SSM. So it's very, most cases you have that integration in place. Similar to S3, the keys are also formed in a path. So it's something like application A / development / DB host, for example. And this helps first in your own organization when you're dealing with all those variables and configurations that your application will consume. Because, for example, here, all those three parameters are for application A and for development environment, and you have a replica of that for production environment, so application A and production, and same thing for application B in that case, right? And this is good because this organization is important and good because you want your applications to have access to only those sets of parameters, and you can once you have your IAM permissions to read this data, you can use the resource as this part here. So so it would be application A / development / star. So your application row will only have access to those sets of keys. So this kind of organization when you use the SSM is also important in terms of IAM permission. So you don't need to specify all keys that your application will have access. You just specify a path and a wildcard at the end. So all your keys will be in the same path pretty much, right? Something nice around SSM. Let me just create a parameter here so I can show you guys. There is a feature inside the SSM parameter store that stores all the historic from your key. Wow, that's pretty slow. I think I got it here. Yep. So if I create a new key, so db host here, and put mydb.devopsacademy.com.au. it's a string. If I specify the secure string, I can specify the KMS that I want to use. Again, I can use the default or a new one, or create a new one, or use my custom one. So the value here, this is the value, sorry. Description might be host, and just create a parameter. So pretty much this is my key, my value I can access here. And if this is my history, the version 1, and the value. So if I just come here and edit this value and change to might be new, save changes. It's pretty much this. Your application will use the same name, the value will be different, and the history has version 1 as might be and version 2 as the new value. This is good as a tracing thing, so you can check when it was changed and who changed it. So it has all the traceability that you need to see any change in the SSM parameter store key that you have. So it's good, and you can also specify when you consume that you use a different version. So when you don't specify the version, you normally consume or check the latest one. But yeah, you can also consume different versions, and you can also delete, and you'll come back to the previous version if you want. What else? I think that's pretty much it about SSM. Just about use case again. In main focus is to be used as a configuration data store. So your applications can consume data as it goes. So your configurations won't be in your repository of your application code or in your code itself. Yeah, you're just gonna consume that during runtime, and yeah, that's pretty much it about SSM. Any questions around SSM? I guess not. Yeah, it's a very straightforward service. Again, it's a really easy to use, really simple, but very important. I believe that every AWS customer that has any application running on AWS should be using SSM, especially if it's using this AWS services properly. So yeah, you guys will face that a lot if you work with AWS. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. In terms of exercise for this week, because you guys still have a lot to do with the projects, the only exercise that we're gonna have is for the Dynamo, the Lambda, and API Gateway. It's a very complex exercise by itself. We don't have exercise for either SSM or KMS. But yeah, try to spend some time with both project and those exercises, because as you guys don't have the project 2, the exercise that we created for this week is pretty much to cover part of the project 2, and you guys had a hand with a serverless environment and application. It's probably going to be hard and fun, but yeah, if you guys have any questions on the exercise itself, just hit us on the Slack channel. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if Kyle or Dennis, you guys want to add anything before we...
No, I think that's pretty much it. The exercise will be available probably tomorrow. Yeah, and that's it.
You guys have any questions
I have
to the project?
I have a question. So we're going to deliver the project till next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but the next one. And then if we haven't finished the exercises and the course pretty much ends, can we still submit stuff? Or it will be like, nah, thank you, and that's it. For example, if we, because we're going to focus on the project now to deliver the project, you know, by the other Sunday. But
the idea of the DevOps Academy is to be open source and people can do in their own pace. We will be doing reviews after the course. You guys are more than welcome to help with peer reviews as well from other people that might join us. But the priority would be for whoever is doing the course. So as you guys probably have seen for the past few days, we are full on of things and we are trying to keep up with the reviews from your exercise. There's a few on the backlog. So like, for example, if it's the same case right now with you guys and outside people are doing PRs, they will probably be on the last priority to be reviewed. Normally it's not the case.
no, that's so good.
So you should be fine.
Cool.
Yeah, I would suggest to focus on the projects and try to finish full delivery on the project. Oh, good. You can have 25 minutes back to do something else. Maybe focus on the project.
Cool.
I'll see you guys next in 2 weeks for the last class then.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you very
Alrighty.
much, guys.
Thank you.
Guys.
So,
See you
See you
guys.
soon.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.